Hello friends, as we are doing lesson number 7 national movements, and we have done non-cooperation movement as well as civil disobedience movement. These two movements we have done. So as these movements were very successful, so British government they started to use some kind of repressive measures so that they can break down the courage of Indian nationalists. So, according to official figure, more than 60,000 persons were put behind prison bars, and the satyagrahis were brutally assaulted. Means inhuman kind of punishments were given to them. Lathis were blowed on the heads, chest, stomach, joints, and according to Miss M. Slade, English lady, she told that she saw the wounded persons being thrown into salt water. It means this kind of very harsh punishments were given to those satyagrahis. So after all these type of things, just to settle down the disputes between Indians and the British government, first round table conference was called. But in this first roundtable conference that was held in London from 16th November 1930 to 19th January 1931, Congress was not participated. Congress boycotted the conference, and without conference, there was no meaning of this first roundtable conference. That's why second roundtable conference was called. Now, during that second roundtable conference, Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed. So let us start with this topic: Gandhi-Irwin Pact and the suspension of the movement. As first step to bring about an understanding between the Congress and the government, Gandhi and members of the Congress Working Committee were released on 26 January 1931. So earlier these persons were arrested by the British government. So now they released, and Gandhi wanted peace but with honor. And on the other hand, government also wanted peace but without any kind of troubles. It means both were ready for some kind of settlements. Under such circumstances, the famous Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed on 5th March 1931. So according to this agreement or this Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Governor General was agreed for the following points. So first of all, he was agreed to release all the political prisoners except those guilty of violence. Means all the political prisoners that were behind the bars, government was ready to release them, but not those nationalists who were guilty of violence. Means some kind of violence, in violence they were involved. Second, to bring back to the Congress their confiscated property. So all the properties of Congress persons that were earlier deprived by the government, now government was ready to give all that kind of things back. Third, to permit peaceful picking of liquids and foreign clothes shops. Fourth, to permit such people as lived near seashores to manufacture salt. Earlier, according to salt law, they were not permitted to do this. Then Mahatma Gandhi agreed. So these were the things that the government was ready to accept. Now on the other hand, Mahatma Gandhi agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement. And he also agreed to take part in the deliberations of the second roundtable conference, as first roundtable conference was failed due to boycott by the Congress. So now for second roundtable conference, Mahatma Gandhi was ready to take part, and the Viceroy having to negotiate with Gandhiji as an equal. It means few things British government was ready to accept and few Gandhi was ready to accept. And was seen as a major achievement of the Congress. The British government was forced to recognize the Congress as a true representative of the Indian people. So now Congress party was representative body that was the representatives of Indian people only. So British government accepted Congress to recognize this. Now come to that second roundtable conference. Gandhi was chosen as the sole representative of the Congress for the second roundtable conference, and the conference devoted most of its time to communal questions and the representation of minorities, the Muslim, Sikh, Indian Christian, and the Anglo Indian in legislature, both at the center and in the provinces. It means in this second roundtable conference, even the Congress persons all centered towards the matters related to their particular community only, nothing related to India, nothing related to the freedom of India was there in their discussions. Just because of this reason, Gandhiji was disgusted, means he disliked that thing, he was not happy with that kind of things. So he find that most of the leaders seemed concerned only about seats in legislature. It means they just want number of seats for their own communities, and the question of independence or of setting up a responsible government receded into background. Means this kind of thing that was required, that was not discussed. And Gandhi returned empty handed to India. He could not persuade the British government to grant freedom or even the dominion status to India. It means Gandhi was not successful. Their demand was dominion status, and that was not accepted. And in this second roundtable conference, discussions were going on related to community, related to number of seats of their particular communities only, nothing else. So this second roundtable conference again was useless. So this was the main topic. Just have a look of other pending topics. Then is the renewal of civil disobedience movement in 1932. So soon after his return, so now after second roundtable conference, when Gandhi returned back to India, and soon after that, Gandhi sought an interview with the new viceroy, Lord Wellington. So he just wanted one kind of meeting with him, and it was refused. And on 4th January 1932, Gandhi was arrested. The Congress adopted a resolution for the renewal of civil disobedience movement. So as civil disobedience movement that was stopped earlier, and after the failure of second roundtable conference, and in the year of 1932 when Gandhi was arrested, now the Congress leaders again adopted that civil disobedience movement. It means they just renewed that movement that was earlier stopped. And the civil resistors hosted Congress flags over government buildings and manufactured salt and boycott British goods. So now they just posted their own Congress flags on the government buildings, and all the laws that were like earlier salt law was there. So they started to manufacture that salt law. Sorry, not salt law, the salt they started to manufacture, and again they started to boycott British goods. And Congress was declared as an unlawful organization. So that was declared by the British government, as the Congress was not now ready to cooperate with the British government. So that was declared unlawful. Then its funds and buildings were confiscated. So all the buildings of the Congress were damaged by the British government, and according to Congress estimate, more than 1,20,000 persons were arrested by the end of March 1933, and police methods were cruel and vindictive, means very revengeful methods they adopted. Very cruel type of things were adopted by the British police to repress the members or to repress the Indian nationalists. Then, when this kind of circumstances were going on, the communal award and Pune Pact was there. So, let us have a look of this. In August 1932, the Prime Minister, Mr. MacDonald, he gave his award that is known as Communal Award, as by name it is clear related to community. And what was award? Award was separate representation. So according to it, separate representation was to be provided for the Muslims, Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, Europeans, etc. And the depressed classes were assigned a number of seats to be filled by election from special constituencies in which voters belonging to the depressed classes only could vote. Means this was a kind of formulas of divide and rule that was adopted by the British government. Means according to the community, different number of seats were suggested, and different or specific constituencies according to their community, according to their religion was suggested. Then Gandhi was already in jail, and he was very much shocked at dividing up the Hindu community, and he went on fast unto death. And Dr. Ambedkar, who was the prominent leader of the depressed class, had a heart talk with Gandhiji, and after this talk, this resulted in a settlement known as Pune Pact. So after the discussion of Dr. Ambedkar with Mahatma Gandhi, they came to one solution, and that settlement is known as Pune Pact. It nearly doubled the number of seats reserved for the depressed classes, but there would be no separate electorates. So here the provision was separate constituencies where persons belonging to that particular depressed class only they can vote here. Now according to this pact, number of seats that were already reserved for them, they were increased, but only the factor that was dividing them, that was removed, means separate electorate provision that was removed. And the pact resolved the problem without the Hindu community being further split up. So this was one kind of option that can be there to join the Hindu community, means to stop the division of Hindu community. Then is suspension and the end of civil disobedience movement. So already it was earlier suspended, then renewed, then again suspended, and at last it was the end of this movement. The third roundtable conference sat in London from 17th November to 24th December 1932, and the Congress was not a party to this exercise. Mahatma Gandhi was released from prison on May 1933. The civil disobedience movement was suspended temporarily. And in August 1933, Gandhi started the individual disobedience campaign. But after some time, the campaign faded away. In April 1934, the movement was wound up, means came to an end. And Gandhi now devoted all his energy to opposing untouchability in all its forms and practices. He argued that Hindu needed to do penance for the untold oppression of Dalits. So whatever wrong was done with this depressed class by the Hindu community or the upper classes, Gandhi was there to make that class improved. Now, impact or significance of this civil disobedience movement. Apparently, the repressive measures of the Lord Wellington had succeeded. Means it was appeared like that all the repressive measures that were taken by Lord Wellington, he was successful, but in reality, he was not. So, but the suspension of the movement did not mean that people had given up their struggle for freedom. The impact of the movement can be summed up as follows. So, these are the impacts of that movement, or the importance of the significance of that movement. First of all, people were not silent and subdued. It means whether this movement came to an end, but Indian people, they were not silent, and the movement caused a tide of patriotic fervor in the country. Means strong feeling for the country was there, and it resulted in mass strikes and the setting up of parallel governments in several places. And people's patriotism would not leave the government in peace. It means Indians were now united for the sake of their country's freedom, and they were ready to do whatever was required. Second, the government was convinced that bold constitutional reforms were now essential. So government realized that some kind of constitutional reforms are required, otherwise Indians will not be silent. And third is the struggle had a healthy effect upon the life of the exploited, the poor, and the oppressed. As Gandhi started to think about these depressed people, so this was the time for the upliftment of this weaker section or poorer section of the society, and anti-untouchability campaign was started. Then fourth, the movement brought women in large number out of their homes, and they prevented people from buying foreign clothes and liquids. In Nagaland, Rani Gaidillu led an anti-colonial revolt. It means women started to take active part in the movement. And the fifth one, violence as a political weapon ceased to have much impact on the youth of India because of Gandhi's preaching of non-violence. However, revolutionary movement did not completely die out. So people started to believe in the non-violent methods, but on the other hand, revolutionaries that were struggling for the freedom of India, that revolutionaries were also active. Then the formation of socialist and communist parties. So in India, communist parties were developed, as in Russia communist revolution was successful, and Indian youth were very active for this kind of communist parties to organize. And in 1923, S.A. Dange started an English weekly, The Socialist, for the propagation of the Marxist view. So they started to think about the Marxist views that were adopted here in Russia, and they were successful in this time period. And other pioneers of the communist movement in India at that time were Muzaffar Ahmad, Satya Bhakt, and Shaukat Osmani. And it was in December 1925 that the Communist Party of India was formed. So finally, Communist Party of India was formed in 1925. Then another one is the Congress Socialist Party. 1934, the socialists within the Congress, means they were the member of Congress only. So within the Congress, they formed the Congress Socialist Party. And those who played a prominent role in the socialist movement at that time, and those were Jayaprakash Narayan, Achyut Patwardhan, Ashok Mehta, S.M. Joshi, and Narendra Deva. And the formation of Congress Socialist Party was hailed by Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Bose. So they were also with that. And the Congress Socialists did not wreck the Congress, and they functioned within the Congress. So they didn't give up Congress. They were the member of Congress itself, and they were working within the Congress only. And unlike the communists, they admired Gandhi and his passion for social justice. So they were there with Gandhi and they were appreciating them. And the revolutionary movement. So the revolutionary movement, only little bit information is given in our chapter, only a little touch is given. So let us have a look. Revolutionary movement is related to those revolutionaries, those who adopted violent methods, revolutionary methods for the sake of Indian freedom. So they were the freedom fighters. And despite Gandhi's preaching of non-violence, revolutionary activities continued. So on one hand, that we were discussing in our chapter related to Gandhi's non-violent methods, and on the other hand, revolutionary movements were also going on. It means on the other hand, revolutionaries were active for the sake of the freedom of India. So one incident is given here of Kakori conspiracy case. On 9 August 1925, Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah, Roshan Lal, and others stopped a train near Kakori. So they stopped one train that was having British government's money, and that money was kept in that train. So they just stopped that train by pulling the alarm chain. And because revolutionaries needed money, so they collect, so that they can collect their required things like armaments, bombs, and other things. So in the Kakori case, 4 persons were transported for life, and 4, including Ram Prasad Bismil and Ashfaqullah, were hanged. So as they needed money, so that money they just got from, means they were trying to get that money from this train, and but they were arrested, and life imprisonment were given to 4, and these Ram Prasad Bismil and Ashfaqullah, they were hanged, means they death punishment was given to them. Then is the martyrdom of Bhagat Singh and others. On 8th April 1929, Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt, they threw bombs in the Assembly Chamber, New Delhi, and they also dropped from the visitor galleries a few copies of the red pamphlets. No one was killed during that bomb attack, as that was just a bomb, sound bomb only. And they said their aim was not to kill but to make deep fear. And Bhagat Singh stood trial in the Lahore conspiracy case also for the murder of Saunders at Lahore in 1928. So one another charge was already there, and in that case Sukhdev and Rajguru also stood and accused. So these two were also accused, and whereas Batukeshwar Dutt was acquitted. And Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru, now these 3 were there, and they were sentenced to death. And hanging of Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Sukhdev early in 1931 caused a great stir among the people. So they were hanged before the given time. So Indians were very angry with this act of British government. And the death of Chandrasekhar Azad. On 27 Feb 1931, Chandrasekhar happened to be in Alfred Park at Allahabad, and the police surrounded the park According to Professor R.C. Majumdar, Chandrasekhar fired at the police and seriously wounded two high officials, but he himself was riddled with bullets and fell dead as he don't want to be arrested by the Britishers. So, thus ended the lives of the prominent revolutionaries who will be remembered by history for the supreme sacrifice that they made. So, with this, many prominent, many brave Indian revolutionaries were died, and those who gave up their lives for the sake of India's freedom. With this, our chapter is over here. Watch this video. If any doubt is there, you can message me and try to solve the back exercise also. Thank you.